So on the right side, those are the old?
They're the old ones.
Old ones?
They're not hooked up. You can see how they leaked. Got moisture in them.
Did they crack? They freeze and crack? None of that stuff?
See the glue came undone?
I can see that.
Down. The top glass you can see over here. Top glass slid down. Broke.
Oh no, sure enough.
Looks like I've got diamonds all over.
How long ago did that happen?
Probably August.
Okay.
There was a storm and it pushed one down. I thought, well, I just barely missed my truck.
Oof.
So I thought, I got to do something different about it. And at the time, they were too expensive for me. So I looked into building them. eBay offered
The cells?
cells. You know, I'm getting so old I don't remember a lot
That's
of
all right.
stuff.
Between the two of us, we'll figure it out.
And I found these, a bunch of these 32
So this is a patio door
patio door
that you converted to a
glass.
double glass.
And I took them apart. I soldered all the solar cells together. Put in all the.
And you just recently took these down. They worked fine for a number of years, right?
The glue I used was what they put car windows in.
Okay.
And that worked fine for several years, and then they started leaking.
Okay.
And I got moisture in them, and the more moisture they got in, the less they produced.
So when it snowed, were they warm enough to melt the snow off?
Yeah, they melt the snow off good.
Okay. That's one of the concerns that I have. So what do you think it cost you per panel to build these?
I think it cost me $150, $160.
And this is back when solar panels were selling for more than that.
They was a lot more expensive.
And you built 30 of these?
I built 32 of them.
32.
I built a few
Smaller ones?
trial ones.
And this was all spurred on because you not only had an interest in being self-sufficient, being off the grid, more than anything, was it the self-sufficiency aspect of it?
More or less, yes.
Okay.
If there's anything that ever happened, I feel like I'd have a little power. And there's been times when the power's gone off, and the neighbors have called and says, "Isn't your power off?" And
You say no.
can I run an extension cord over?
Okay.
And
Well, that's interesting. Now, have you messed with the tax credits that are associated with the solar panels?
I did the first time.
Okay.
I haven't. I just bought these this year. I'm going to see what happens.
Okay. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. How many?
There's 20.
20 of them.
I'm going to get 10 more.
And that'll produce about how many kWs you think?
9.
Really?
9,000.
Wow.
Well, if you.
That's peak, whatever they call
Yeah.
it, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Right now it's producing about 6.
6. This time of year, you can get 6 out of it.
If I get a good clear day.
Okay.
In a certain time of the year, probably October. It seems like the sun's lined up just right, and sometimes it'll produce 100%.
So the mounts that I got are adjustable. I got 2. It's out of Montana, a company out of Montana called Montana Mounts. And they hold 14 panels on each mount. And it has a crank on it, and I can literally crank it and adjust it because the guy told me this is what you're going to want in your area to optimize those panels. And so I hope that
That's true. I imagine I produce as much in the winter as I do in the summer, because the sun will come up, be 9, 10 o'clock before it gets up and start shining on them good.
Okay. So do you think there's a better direction they should be facing?
Well, they claim that for our area, 45-degree angle.
45, okay.
But I don't know what the shed was. It was
Sure.
there.
Just whatever you had and you made it work. So when's the last time you paid for electricity?
Well, as they was going weaker, my bill kept going higher.
But did you have a credit with them? Is that how it works? You get credit, don't you? They don't pay. They don't pay you, do they?
I don't sell it to
Oh, you don't? Okay.
No.
All right. So you just have it there if you need it.
It seems like they're, what should I say? It's hard to sell to Utah or
Rocky Mountain.
Power.
But there are tax credits. Like in my situation, I'm going to be completely off grid, but I still can get a tax credit because it's green energy, right?
From the government,
From-
not from Utah.
Not state, but from the federal. Yeah, because I think it's green energy or whatever they call it. Okay. All right, well, this is interesting. You got quite a view here, $1 million view.
So I got a chicken coop. I put some.
Oh yeah,
some
sure
of my
enough.
first panels on. But and I've got a door that on a timer.
Just for lights for them?
No, they go. The door opens and closes.
Oh,
They go in at night and it closes in the morning and open up again.
well here.
Skunks and whatnot get in.
Sure. I think I'm going to be fighting that battle up there. We've got every raccoons, you name it. We got them all up there.
One of them.
So this is what you use to set those panels. You put it in the spike on the hay spike, and you use that bucket and you pivot it up, right? To set those,
Got a loader on my tractor.
and you set those up on the roof, and then you bolt them down. So are you doing this all by yourself, or you got somebody helping you?
Do it by myself.
Sure enough. This is a
Go
farm.
up and down the ladder.
It's all right. This is that farming ingenuity that we all should have. That's getting harder and harder to come by.
At first I was trying to tug them up there
I bet.
with a rope and whatnot.
Probably got a little
This
fun.
is sure a lot easier.
Yeah, I'll
Just
bet.
set them in place.
Well, that's a great idea.
Shows you how high this would reach.
Well, once you get it on tilt, that probably goes ways up there. And these are the old panels over here. So what do these panels weigh compared to the new panels?
These are about 78 pounds. The new ones are about 50 some.
50? So is there any use for these at this point?
Well, I thought that if I take them apart, make a greenhouse out.
Oh, there you go. That's a great idea.
Or I dumped them in the garbage already.
That's a lot of
I
glass.
save too much stuff. I'd save all the junk.
Well, that's a great idea. It's a lot of glass. And you used to run a dairy out of here.
Yes.
How many cows did you have?
This was my calf pen.
How many?
I had about 80 cows.
80 cows. So next to our ranch over there, we had 70 cow dairy over there, but there's just not many of those little cow dairies any. Why do you think that is? Just not profitable?
Well, it's tough to be in the dairy. They've been suffering, but the price is coming back a little bit, and I hope they do better.
What do you think about the organic dairies?
It's great for those guys that got in it.
Saving them, saving a lot of these dairies around here.
Yeah.
There used to be hundreds of dairies around here.
In 1986, the government put a carrot out there, and I bid at it. They bought us out.
Okay.
And at that time, I sold milk just shortly before they bought us out. I sold milk for $15.15 a hundred.
100.
And
It's only
not-
17 right now.
It's not much more than that now.
Yeah, and price of diesel's only 3 or 4 times.
After that, it went down to 10 and 9.
Ooh, so you might have timed it perfectly.
I may have done. Or I wouldn't be here.
Yeah. Well, that's good that you're still farming, though. Okay, tell me about that contraption up there.
Well, you've seen it on the YouTube, and I thought, well, I'll try it and see what happens. It's interesting.
It's a gasifier.
Yes.
So, what did you try and run off it?
I could run a generator off from it,
Okay.
and I never got into it real hard and heavy. But
Tell me why that stuff interests you.
I'll just
Just to tinker, just to play around with stuff?
tinker and see if I could do it. And
Be
learn.
Just learn, yeah.
Yeah.
Be more self-sufficient and understand that stuff in case you ever had to have it. Yeah, it's interesting. How old is this barn?
I imagine it's built in 1920s.
Is this a family farm here that you
Yes.
came up on?
My grandfather had it, and my dad had it. And
So
I
you-
went to San Francisco. I worked for TWA as a line mechanic.
Sure.
Then he offered me the farm, and I come back and took it.
So you're born and raised right here then? That's neat to have a lot of history here. History's pretty important.
And I was glad to get out of California.
We won't say any more about that. It's completely, it was completely automated, but it's not working right now.
It's not working,
It follows the direction of the sun though.
and I most likely will take it down because the panels are so cheap to put up now.
Yeah.
There's no use of.
So you don't think those are as valuable as they maybe were at one time? That's interesting.
Maybe in your condition, situation, that
I might need all the help I can get up there.
I don't need it.
Yeah. So you're able to run these 2 deep freeze, 3 of them, off of your system.
Right. 2 refrigerators,
2 refrigerators, washing machine,
washing machine, microwave.
microwave. You've got 20 batteries, 40 batteries, 40 batteries, which will be about what I have. I have the bigger ones. Well, I'm sure glad I came and talked to you.
I think you can run a microwave because you only run it.
But don't tell my wife that. We're not gonna have.
Don't like.
I'm not crazy about those microwaves. I'm not crazy about the microwaves. Got some nice big beets there.
Red beets.
Yeah.
I dehydrated them.
The pursuit of being self-sufficient, where does that come from? The idea, is this something you were raised and taught?
I suppose my folks went through the Depression, and I believe they put a lot of that into us.
Did you have food stored? Would your parents have food stored growing up?
They always did the canning and the gardening and canned peaches and pears and
Okay.
whatever, corn and beans.
Did your dad hunt?
No, he never hunted.
Did you hunt?
I tried to hunt for a while and wasn't thrilled over it.
You weren't one of those that was in love with the taste of deer.
No, I like the mountains. I like the mountains better.
There you go.
Getting out.
You like the experience. I'm with you. So I've never hunted big game in my life, and I'm about to go. I just went and got I got my tag, my permits, and everything yesterday. And this morning I was out shooting muzzleloader, trying to get used to that rifle. And I'm gonna try and go get a cow elk, and just for the freezer.
I've got a son that he shot a little dove, and he claims I made him eat it.
Well, that's one thing I did hunt.
But he did. He learned something from that. And then we went deer hunting up in the mountains, and there was some grouse, and he shot a grouse.
Mm-hmm.
Never said a thing to him. He just skinned it and feathered it and skinned it and cleaned it and built a fire and he cooked it.
There you go.
Some guys that put thousands of dollars in it for the horns.
I'm not that guy. I've never been into hanging anything off my wall, but I want to know how to do it. And I got a son old enough now where I'd like to take him out and do it. But
You can learn a lot in that. See you kill an animal and use it.
Sure.
Well, I guess that was born into me or put into me by my folks, and my folks had 8 children, and we had to wear hand-me-downs.
Sure.
And make do with what we had.
Do you think it goes back even further than that?
Well, my grandfather came from West Jordan.
Okay.
My great-grandfather. And my grandfather owned this farm, and then my dad took it over, and then I took it over, thank goodness. I didn't stay in California.
Did you have a big monthly expense with electricity here on the farm?
Well, it was a pretty good amount, but not overly what our neighbors did.
Yeah.
What we expected to. We run the dairy farm and the milkers, and coolers and whatnot.
Did your motivation behind the solar panels come from a concern? I don't like to use the word fear, but a concern that maybe there could be something bad happen that would cause us to lose the grid.
No, I didn't have too much of a fear. I've been raised where there wasn't much. We had wood cooking stoves. And I can remember when our first toilet was put into the house and not have to go out in the winter in the outhouse.
I bet that was something else.
That was something else. And I wasn't too old at that time.
Huh.
And I thought the toilet was the most wonderful invention ever made.
Well,
I couldn't believe that. It was magic. Here the EMP gets on the news, gets on programs, and it's a possibility. I suppose there's a possibility of the sun blanking something out sometime.
solar flares.
Solar flare.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe a natural disaster that would take a portion of the grid down in an area. And I've seen many of news reports where they've had tornadoes and people go to the store and the shelves are empty.
Mm-hmm.
And people in the north, when the grid goes down, some of them may have generators they can heat their house, and a lot of them don't. They have to get more blankets, I guess.
Or they die. There's a lot of death that happens sometimes with those real bad storms that come through.
Yeah.
And you don't have.
We don't get the storms like they get back east and other places, but we do get some. And there's a lot of times the grid goes, a certain portion of the grid in the area goes down.
You don't have a backup generator though.
I've got a generator.
Oh, you do? Okay.
It's just a small one, and it runs off that gasifier I showed you.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
And I can plug it in and charge my batteries.
Okay. So if you had to, this is something I've also had to consider with our place up there, and I think we're going to end up doing a backup generator. But
we bought a little oven in case we need it. Runs off 110. My water heater runs off 110 and propane.
Sure enough. Well, that's interesting.
And it's a non-demand water heater.
Okay, an inline. Okay.
And it's what heats this room, well, the new part.
Okay. So you're set up. If you were to do anything else, can you think of anything else that you'd want to change or do to?
I would put a pellet stove up here.
You like those pellet stoves?
I don't know. They sound good.
Yeah. Well, everything I hear about them is they work great if you have power, and that's why I don't want to put one in because, well, I got so much wood up there.
You got a bonanza.
Yeah, that's just it. Is I'll put a couple of wood burners in, and that should be sufficient.
The reason I think of a pellet stove up here, I don't want to carry all the wood up here all the time.
That's true. Up here in the second story.
And I don't want a chimney. I can just put it through the wall.
That's true. Your stove down there, I noticed your wood burning stove. You could set a pot on that.
Yeah.
Warm up.
We have done.
Okay. So you've got your bases covered.
I've put a lot of LED lights in. I'm working on more of them.
Low
Put
consumption.
them in my wife's shop.
Okay.
She's got a lot of light in there. It takes a lot of power. And it's just wise to do it.
Sure. Which you're being conscious of your consumption at a minimum, right? So are you tied into? Is your meter on right now?
Mm-hmm.
It is. So you have that available to you whenever you want it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. If it's cloudy days for several days, then I switch over to the grid.
Okay. Is it a manual switch or does it kick over?
It's automatic.
It's automatic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What about wind generators? What do you think about wind generators?
I think they're great if you got wind.
Okay.
But we don't have the wind here.
Out here you don't. Okay. Up.
Wind generators work at night too.
That's
or in cloudy weather.
And that seems to be most people that are running some sort of a battery bank solar system have wind generators. They seem to run synonymous together, and you know, the breeze seems to maybe kick up a little bit in the evenings, which helps with that. So, well, any other advice you give a young knucklehead like me?
I think you got a lot of the answers while you're talking.
You think I'm living up there? You think I'm out of my mind?
No, I think it's a good idea. I've always thought of wanting to get away a little bit and put a cabin in
Well, I appreciate you taking time for me, Lyle. I'm gonna.
I can't answer all your questions.
I'm
I'm smart enough to.
You pointed me in the right
I need a little
direction.
more experience.
Well, I'm gonna bring you up to the house when we get to the point where we're doing all the stuff